All right, beautiful. So I wanted to make another video that's specifically around jailbreaking yourself from negative judgments of others or of self, because ultimately those judgments always arise from your kind of mental criticism, and that can either be turned inward or outward. So this is, you already know this. Um, I really wanted to speak to um, self-care, but specifically to diet and how that relates to negative thoughts. Um, I've known a few people, they're kind of like friends of friends, so thank goodness nobody close to me has ever taken their own life. That is not something I've been through, but in my community, there have been people who have taken their own life, and with a couple of those people, had the sense that their chemistry had potentially been thrown off, probably due to many things, um, but possibly even by something as seemingly simple as diet. For about 20 years, I struggled with depression, starting in my teens and until I was, let's see, about 33, so about 20 years, 13 to 33. And I just assumed that it was just something to do with my makeup and how I'm put together as a person. I chose to not medicate, to go that route, and I pursued alternative remedies and treatments, and those seemed to do pretty well. But the older I got, it was almost like the heavier that depression became. The interesting thing, so in my 20s, I became a highly trained holistic health practitioner. So I was already living a pretty clean lifestyle. I do love to eat, so I enjoy like good food, but for the most part, I was eating pretty healthy. Um, and so part one of me basically healing completely and permanently from depression, which included anxiety, dark thoughts. I absolutely had thoughts about taking myself out, although who knows at this point if I actually would have done that or not, because I am now free of depression in ways that I'll tell you about in a moment. Um, but yeah, I definitely, there were times that were pretty dark, and I was just pretty miserable, and compounded by also being ill in other ways for a while. So number one, I ended up hearing three different women give three different talks. They were also holistic health practitioners, naturopaths, etc. And all three of them in their talks talked about the effects of sugar on a woman's endocrine system, and how that sugar will often lend to dark thoughts. Like, you're looking at yourself in a mirror, you love the way you look, you're like, I look great. You go eat some sugar, come back 5-10 minutes later, and suddenly you're analyzing negative judgment that wasn't there 10 minutes ago is now there, and the only thing that changed was the sugar. So I thought that was very interesting. So I do limit my sugar intake. The second thing is gluten. Gluten, from what I have learned, interacts with a woman's body in a way that confuses our hormones. And so anytime we throw off the hormonal system, like anytime I look back on my life and I feel like, wow, that was like a crazy time, it was often my hormones being out of whack, either being postpartum or being pregnant or having an irregular cycle for whatever reason, or women that I talk to who are in perimenopause or menopause. These times in our life where the hormones get a little out of balance lend to an experience of feeling crazy and feeling irritable and angry and easily like attacked, or upset. And so when I decided to cut out gluten, because I actually thought it was maybe affecting kind of like bronchial stuff, like asthma stuff. I would get a bronchial infection basically every year in the winter time. So I ended up cutting out gluten, and apparently gluten stays in your system for about 6 months. Like it gets stored in your fat. So when you cut out gluten, it's something that you really have to commit to. I noticed a huge difference within a week in terms of my dark thoughts lifting. And certainly after like the 3 month mark, probably even more after the 6 month mark, just being like, is this what it feels like to be normal? Like, wow, I have not felt like this as an adult. So I've had a couple of times where I've actually accidentally eaten gluten, like somebody thought something was gluten-free and I ate it and it wasn't. And it's interesting, my boyfriend calls it bread sadness, because the next day I'm just kind of like weepy and I have kind of a little bit nightmarish dreams and just kind of like dark thoughts and just like really doubting and worrying in a way that I don't normally do. So he definitely notices the difference when that's happened in the past, and I do too. And it's nice because he's been able to pinpoint it, like, did you eat gluten? So let's see, I'm 38 now, so I haven't eaten gluten for 5 years, and the depression has not returned. It's incredible to think of that one staple food and that one little change. So I just wanted to speak to that because there might be other women out there who are on antidepressants or considering it or just grappling with critical mind and judgments that just kind of are incessant and won't go away with therapy, and you kind of have done everything. And to also wonder, like, how many people out there have gotten to the point of literally taking their own life because of the buildup of this, like the hormonal shifts and the gluten in the body, that doctors and psychologists they don't make that connection. So anyway, I just wanted to speak to my experience, and hopefully it's helpful. And occasionally I will speak health-wise. Usually I kind of do more of the psychological, energetic stuff in these videos, but hopefully this was helpful for you. So I look forward to staying connected. In one of my next videos, I'm going to give you a ritual for releasing some of those negative mind chatters and judgments, because they still come up sometimes. But the overwhelming heaviness of depression and anxiety is no longer there for me. So anyway, I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and come back for more, because I'm going to make more for you. Thanks.